It is known that Chaos Worshippers, Narscan Raiders, Beastmen, and other unnameable creatures are forever searching to please the Chaos Gods, seeking to draw their gaze upon them to be able to receive the unlimited and powerful rewards that the ruinous powers always have to offer to the ones they deem worthy. In this episode, we will send an expeditionary force into the depths of the Drakwald forest to investigate some of the tainted creatures that Chaos has twisted and corrupted over the years. These investigations are crucial to the gathering of information that is then used to better understand and ultimately fight these mutants and drive them off the lands of our beloved empire. What we will find inside the damned forest, no one knows. We don't even know if we will be able to make it back into the safety of our walls. But by Sigmar, we will endure and complete our task. Shh. Stay quiet, warned Oswald Holman as he passed by a seemingly overconfident group of soldiers. The respected huntsman general had been to the Drakwald forest before. A long time ago indeed, but he still remembers the dreadful voice of the night goblin that had ambushed them on that fateful day. Rufuk Shroomsniffer.
This time we show them who the boss around here, lads. Soon every Yumi around these parts will shine himself at the sound of the name Rufuk Shroomsniffer.
Back then, he was a rank and file soldier. But the feeling of being ambushed and the painful memory of watching many of his brothers being torn apart by countless cruel goblins still darkened his mind to this day. With a quick shake of his head, he swept away those memories, as if one could actually do that and get away with it. He knew the scars in his body and mind would remain forever with him. It was something he continuously had to learn to live with. The trampling of boots into mud and the clunk of armor of the advancing expeditionary force sounded heavy as they advanced deeper into the Drakwald forest. But they were also drowned by the varied and mysterious sounds of the dark place. The few beams of sunlight that managed to squeeze through the enormous trees were barely visible. The Drakwald forest has always been deemed as a dangerous, untamed wilderness, and with good reason. The majority of it has barely been effectively explored, and many expeditions haven't returned. Besides, any road or pathway made by men was swiftly devoured and reclaimed by the wilderness. It is an ever-changing woodland that is home to many creatures that lurk beneath its heavy shadows, always stalking their prey. Sane men fear to go too deep into the forest, but oftentimes the temporary roads lead them to unexpected places that crawl with chaos-spawned things, spider rider goblin tribes, or even savage beastmen. But something dark stirred beyond the trees. Unrecognizable things and invisible forces not from this world creep through the massive trees and slip through their branches, resonating with malignant power. With prayers and faith in Sigmar, the men continued. It was not clear for how long they had walked by this point, but suddenly the expedition came to a halt. A body had been found lying amongst some broken branches. When taking a closer look, it was almost unrecognizable. Mutation is rife among those that dwell in this forest. But this twisted creature was beyond anything General Holman had seen before. Cautiously, he got closer to examine the ruined body. Those worshippers of chaos who dwell too much into the mysterious ruinous powers or do terrible deeds can often call the attention of the ever-watching Chaos Gods. In the case of the Beastmen, the gifts of the gods, or rewards of ruin as they often refer to as, can include incredibly large horns growing from their brow, their muscular form being enhanced into bigger hulks, razor talons and large teeth, extra fur and hair that clogs into an impenetrable hide, bang-studded appendages that grow from the recipient's gut, coal-black skin that draws in the dark shadows, and 1,000 other sickening forms besides. These mutations often grant the beasts with an advantage in battle, or help them gain status among their kin. In most cases, it is the chieftain of each tribe who is blessed with such rewards, for it is through his will and his hatred that the warherd act. Though they do not truly comprehend it, the Beastmen are an instrument of chaos and a vital part of the ruinous power's eternal quest to subsume the world in a roiling, turbulent tide of disruptive change and constant war. There are also many human worshippers of these powers all over the world, although they concentrate the most in the Northlands, home to many different tribes of men. Because of the proximity of the realm of chaos in the northern wastes, they are heavily influenced by the ruinous powers. Many of these humans do not seek to please the dark gods actively. There are many reasons a human soul might turn to worship of chaos. Some of them seek a release from their lives of slavery, endless toil, or hopelessness. They oftentimes offer the deaths of those they slay in battle as a tribute to the gods they are so close to. To the Norskins, for example, every day is a struggle to survive, and to gain the favor of the gods is to receive an advantage more fortunate to endure against otherwise impossibly tough odds. Many others, however, desire power or influence, whether to provide for those who depend upon them or to reach their own ambitions. It is a slippery ladder crammed with morally compromising choices that oftentimes begins as a seemingly justified or even noble cause, but quickly turns into full heresy, and then it is too late to take a step back. So while the initial rewards of the Chaos Gods may seem to offer an advantage to the supposedly blessed subject, they quickly become a burden and a curse, the beginning of a path to eternal damnation. These rewards can take many forms. A champion may be granted great strength and fortitude, or his flesh may start to mutate, his limbs twisting into claws hard enough to penetrate armor, and his skin growing as tough as dragon scale, depending on the size of the gift granted by their patron god. Not only their bodies can be twisted and tainted with the powers of chaos, legendary weapons and armor have also been known to be corrupted, and these have claimed many lives. Some of these weapons can even capture the souls of the victims they slain, condemning them to a cruel eternity of torment. The exalted champions of chaos have a vile unity with their weapons and armor. Their swords become as much a part of their body as their hands, and their armor melts to their flesh, becoming disgustingly resilient against incoming attacks. To their fellow warriors and worshippers of chaos, these signs of mutations and rare artifacts are a sign of great favor. But a champion has metamorphosed into a true warrior, his body an indomitable fusion of mutant claws and steel. The will of the Chaos Gods made manifest, and their favor displayed in undeniable evidence. To the ruinous powers, there is no gift or change that they cannot provide to those they deem worthy of their attention. There is no power they are unable to grant. Those champions who earn the favor of one particular Chaos God are marked by them. The appearances and powers of these mortals are shaped according to their deity's own ambitions, desires, and persona. The signs and stigmata of patronage proclaiming a warning to any other warp entity that this soul has already been claimed. Should these champions of chaos survive the endless battles that await them and the implications of the mutations themselves, then the ultimate reward is attainable: to become a demon prince, whose body swells with arcane energies, becoming vast in stature, their gigantic forms twisted into new, terrifying shapes more pleasing to the chaos gods they now eternally serve. They are beings of godlike power, forever bound to darkness and destruction. Sightings of these demon princes are extremely rare for a regular human to tell, as oftentimes to see one of these beings means to lose their own sanity, and most possibly to lose their lives. But for every champion who raises his horned head and roars in triumph as a newborn demon prince, untold thousands perish on the battlefield, becoming uncontrollable twisted beings called Forsaken, or end their lives as mewing chaos spawn. Oftentimes it happens that once proud and mighty chaos warriors, because of the severe mutations bestowed upon them, they become something less than human, with no personality of their own and no ambitions or desires, with no more understanding of battlefield tactics than a hound. These unfortunates are reduced to the level of animals by their own uncontrollable mutations. Many so-called Forsaken often find that the rewards of the dark gods turn out to more closely resemble afflictions than blessings. In time, many Forsaken lose any capacity for rational thought, setting aside sophisticated weaponry in favor of jagged teeth and twisted claws. For the less fortunate aspirant, the final reward for selling his soul is an unmarked grave upon some corpse-strewn battlefield, his cadaver pecked clean by crows. But suffering a grisly death is not the worst fate that one who has trod the path of chaos can suffer, for the entities of the warp are inhuman and whimsical, and they make no distinction between a beneficial or disadvantageous gift. Should they continue to pile on their dubious gifts, and the recipient not able to adapt and resist them, the champion of chaos will eventually devolve into a mindless, hideous creature known as Chaos Spawn. Though a chaos god may turn his champion into a spawn as a punishment if they have displeased him in some way, he is just as likely to do so simply as a result of inadvertently heaping one mutation upon another. For even the most vaunted Chaos Lord can find himself disfigured in an instant, his body reeked by a multitude of debilitating mutations. Though their forms are repulsive, these gibbering once men are revered by the followers of chaos, for they believe that it is better to know the briefest and vilest of existences at the behest of the gods than to grow old without drawing their notice.
Though the gates that stand between the mortal world and the immortal realm of chaos are now closed to me, still I would rather die having glimpsed eternity than ever have stirred from the cold furrow of mortal life. I embrace death without regret, as I embraced life without fear.
A twisted chaos spawn. That was the creature our expedition had come across, and that lay dead in front of them in the damp forest. Such creatures might once have been mighty chieftains, or perhaps shamans that drew too deeply of the winds of magic, only to be twisted into grotesque new forms by their uncaring masters. As the huntsman general continued to examine the twisted body of the chaos spawn, yelling and unrest quickly consumed the expeditionary force. "Beastmen! Beastmen!" could be heard across the column of soldiers, all moving hastily and readying their weapons. Arrows hissed towards them, many passing just inches away while others bounce off their shields and armor plates. Thundering hooves made the muddy ground shake and the entire forest seemed like it was becoming alive, unleashing its primal fury through the emerging mutated creatures. Bastigors wielding huge axes stormed out of the shadows. They bellowed challenges and battle cries. Heavy plates of armor covered their hulking and muscular bodies, and their magnificent horns remarked their already imposing and terrifying presence. Dozens of Ongors rained the Empire's formations with rusty arrows to cover their kin's advance. The lines clashed, and the battle turned fierce and violent in no time. The resolved men of the Empire got in somewhat cohesive formation and fought the beasts with courage and steel, taking down many of their numbers with trained discipline. Despite the losses, many more beastmen kept emerging from the dark forests. The wild beasts began to gain ground and surrounding the expeditionary force. Many began to lose their cool, and the panic started to spread through the lines of the Empire and the hearts of the men fighting for their lives. It was then that the foulest beast among them arrived. An entire front row of trees fell to give way to an abominable being. It was a creature that epitomized nightmares and destruction. A being so twisted and malformed that no feature could be recognized as something from this world. Everyone that saw it took an involuntary step back. Oswald Holzman saw the abomination and instinctively freed his weapon from the chest of an unfortunate Ongor that fell to the ground straight away, lifeless. The Chaos Spawn somehow recognized the leader amongst the trespassing humans, and their eyes met for a second. The Huntsman General saw into the disfigured eyes of the creature, and in that moment he saw and felt true terror, not being able to recognize a single glint of humanity in the twisted beast. The Chaos Spawn was a creature so lost in chaos that no chances of redemption or reason remained. Only suffering, ruined flesh, and rage. The lumbering spawn charged towards Holzman, and for a second the general froze in place. His life was over. Maybe after all, it was always meant to end beneath the shadows of Drakwald Forest, he thought. "Look out, sir!" Amidst the chaos around him, he recognized the shouting of a nearby soldier, and that snapped him out of the horror. It was all he needed to bring his mind back to this damned place, at least to raise his weapon for a final stroke, to avenge all his brothers that had fallen in that wilderness. Timing the swing almost to perfection, Oswald struck the beast as it closed the distance. The spawn's speed and the huntsman's strength came together at the same time. Oswald was sent flying a few meters away and crashed hard into a nearby tree, now badly wounded and having a hard time breathing. The retreat horn sounded as many Empire soldiers were already running for their lives. The Chaos Spawn was getting up again, and the children of Chaos were still coming out of the shadows. The forest would not stop vomiting more of these monstrosities. How many of our good men would survive this time?
On this channel, we are putting together narrative Total War cinematic battles and Warhammer lore videos. A special thank you goes to our Patreon supporters who help us in the making of more content. You can also join Patreon and earn extra perks while supporting the videos to come. Find the link in the description below. Make sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.